for them to run out and claim that it's Republicans who want to defund the police, that's like an arsonist showing up at the fire and blaming the firemen. That's like the Chinese blaming the Americans for the Wuhan virus. That's like O.J. saying he's going to help find the real killer. That's like Democrats saying they're the ones that want to build the wall. It's absurd. It's ridiculous, and they know it. But you know what? They're also counting on the media, all encircling Joe Biden and saying, poor Uncle Joe, he doesn't want to abolish your police. Well, last time I checked, Bill de Blasio, the Democratic mayor of New York, campaigned on defunding the police, cut $1 billion from the NYPD. And you know what? De Blasio was standing on that same Democratic stage with Joe Biden.
Yeah, the Democrats are facing a lot of backlash as they're trying to blame the Republicans to push to defund the police.
Well, Sean Hannity joins us right now. He's up early. He's got a big day. Good morning,
It's a miracle. I'm up early. How did that ever happen?
Did you not go to bed?
About 3:30, somewhere in there, Brian. About when you get up for work.
Right.
About when
That's
I
a
go to
little
bed.
late for us. We're up earlier than that.
Man, what a
You're
lot.
up early
Listen,
because you're
you
heading to
can-
the southern border, right?
You can keep your hours, I promise. I think the toughest in TV. By the way, Ted Cruz was funny last night.
Yeah, that was great. On
that
your
was from
show.
last night. So we watched last summer, and it was horrible, right? We're watching city blocks being taken over, Summer of Love Zone, Chaz Chop, Autonomous Zone, police precincts being burned to the ground. We watched the looting, the rioting. We watched 3,000 cops injured, pelted with rocks, bricks, water, frozen water bottles, and by the way, all of those people apparently are not going to be charged in what they did. And now the Democrats, who are almost completely and utterly silent and refuse to call them riots, now they've decided to say it's the Republicans' fault. George Orwell was a little ahead of his time, because that's about as 1984-ish as
Sean,
I can think of.
The Democrats had to come up with a new strategy and a new narrative because crime is through the roof. And so last week, out of nowhere, Joe Biden said, he made an announcement, you know, and by the way, police can use the money from the COVID bill, and that's new. And so then Jen Psaki earlier this week was talking about, that's right, it's actually the Republicans who defunded the police because they would not vote for the $1.9 trillion COVID
ridiculous.
bill, which does not, anywhere in the bill, mention police.
Kamala Harris praised the defunding efforts that took place in California, in Los Angeles specifically. Kamala Harris also promoted the bail fund in Minneapolis. It was New York City that cut $1 billion from the police budget. Crime went through the roof. Then they come up with these insane no bail laws, which is that if they catch you, Brian, you better be careful. You're a bank robber in your spare time. If you rob a bank, literally, there was one bank robber that was on the front cover of one of the tabloids in New York. Robs a bank. There's no bail. They let him out. He goes out and robs another bank.
Yep.
They let him out. He robs another bank. And he's like thanking Governor Cuomo and Comrade de Blasio for allowing him to continue this very important craft of his and profession, which is robbing banks because they wouldn't put them in jail. But that's the same thing that they were doing to those people that were rioting and looting and involved in arson. Look, if you look at where this is happening, last year we had record increases in violent crime. In every case, these are blue states, blue cities, run by Democrats for decades. They're the ones that push the defunding of the police. It's twisted logic on their part. One of the reasons I think they're doing it is because polling now shows overwhelmingly that the country is rightly blaming the Democrats for policies that are not keeping law and order. Simple concept. If we want to be able to pursue happiness, right? We're endowed by we can tell Joe Biden, creator, God, the creator of everything. We're endowed by our creator, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If you don't have law and order and safety and security, you cannot pursue happiness. And sadly, that is the case for way too many people in way too many cities. It's a problem we do know how to solve if we set our mind to solving it.
You know, the folks don't like defunding and they don't like what's happening down on the border. President Trump is heading there. Kamala went last week. And then we just learned this morning, Sean.
Well, she kind of went there last week. She went there for a photo op last week, but not where she should have been.
Where the children
It was
are,
a
and the
detour on
families
her trip
on
to
her
LA.
trip to California. But Sean, we learned this morning there was a 2-year-old child that was found on the Mexico side, abandoned on the side of the road. We keep seeing these stories. We keep seeing these images. Here's the picture of it.
Wow. But you know, Ainsley, we've seen this before. You know, how many times have, all right, the walls that are built, and you see people literally pulling these children up to the top of the wall and dumping them over, dropping them over. How is it possible? You know, it always comes down to imagine if Donald Trump were president. And I agree with Steve that the only reason that Kamala Harris made an attempt at this photo op, which is what it turned out to be, is because Donald Trump announced that he was going to the border. We will be there with him. We'll be there with Greg Abbott today, is because he went there. Imagine if Donald Trump is president in the middle of a pandemic and the images that we saw of, really, I call them, they're cages. They're plastic cages, but the kids were trapped inside them. They had no opportunity to leave them. They're overcrowded in the middle of a pandemic, living on top of each other, high rate of testing positive for COVID.
Military bases.
Military bases. And
sexual assaults.
Right, exactly. And then they wouldn't allow the governor of Texas to send in Child Protective Services to even look at these children. Now, yeah, you know what? If we don't protect these kids, we're doing everybody a disservice here. It's a 25-year high. We're probably on record now to bring in millions of illegal immigrants. In the dark of night, they're literally transporting them to all the different states in the country. And then the states are then burdened because they're not allowed to circumvent federal law. It gets a little complicated. And the states that are responsible for food, water, shelter, for health care and education, and we could barely afford it for American citizens right now.
So what's going to be your approach tonight? You got the governor of Texas and you have the former president of the United States. Are you going to be seeing what they're doing tonight, bringing that to the show? How do you plan on progressing through this town hall?
You know, Brian, if you would have told me that Joe Biden's economy would be this bad this quickly, I don't think I would have believed it. It usually takes a little bit longer. If you would have told me they would open the borders, it's beyond open borders, because you don't get to pick and choose in America. None of us are allowed to pick and choose what laws we choose to obey and what laws we choose not to obey. And not only is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they're choosing not to enforce the laws of the land, respecting our law, our borders, our sovereignty. Then they're aiding and abetting in the law breaking because they're only processing people that are coming in. They abolished the Stay in Mexico program, highly successful. They abolished building the wall. They not only brought back catch and release, but it's basically catch and we'll process you and have a good life in America program of Joe and Kamala. But then they're providing all of the services on the backs of the American taxpayer. I'm all for immigration, legal immigration.
So that's going to be the focus tonight.
That'll be a big part of it. Yeah. The other thing is 90% of the heroin in this country comes across that border. We have an opioid crisis. Right. 95% of the fentanyl in this country that is killing many children, on average 300 Americans a week are dying. Right. That is crossing that southern border. I've been down to the southern border in the course of my career. This might be my 15th time. I've been, by the way, if you want to see really funny film, watch me on horseback. I've been on horseback, all-terrain vehicles,
choppers, boats,
helicopters, planes. I've seen drug warehouses. I've been from the Rio Grande all the way through San Diego. I've seen literally tunnels built from Mexico up into office buildings in San Diego. The problem is severe, but Trump had fixed it. This problem was resolved. Now we're about to hit a 25, 30-year high of illegal immigrants in the country, and we're not even deporting illegal criminal immigrants in this country.
Sean, I was looking up.
We'll be watching tonight.
Yeah, we will be watching. I was looking up. We were talking about Oakland, and it's one of the most dangerous cities in our country. And I was looking up most dangerous cities this morning, and then it gave me cities in other countries. There were 3, I think, on the top 10 list, and they were all along the border of Mexico. Those are the folks who live there, who want to come into our country, and the Biden administration is letting them just come in free willy-nilly. They can walk right over.
You know, there's a human compassionate side to this debate, but it's got to be done legally.
That's right.
Look, I remember once I was standing in San Diego right on the border, and on the San Diego side, you've got, you know, $500,000 homes, $1 million homes, and then on the other side, you see nothing but utter poverty. It's not America's role, however, to bring every single person that can't take care of themselves. Look, there are 3 criteria I would have for entry into America. Number 1, I would make it that you have to have a background check so we know that you don't have radical associations. Right. Post-COVID, I would say anybody that wants to enter the country legally, they would need a health check of some kind. And the third thing I think people would need to be able to prove is that they're able and capable financially to take care of themselves. Then go through the process legally, and I don't care where you come from, then my answer is welcome to America. We're glad you're here.
Indeed. One more topic before you're going to have to go, and that is our president has adopted a new way of communicating. He did it yesterday again, the way he did it last week. And essentially it's George Bush. It's read my lips. I'm whispering.
I'm
Joe
Biden, yeah.
Watch.
We're waiting for relief. I got them $1.9 trillion relief so far. They're going to be getting checks in the mail that are consequential. I wrote the bill on the environment. Why would I not be for it? Pay them more. This is an employees bargaining chip now. Hey guys, I think it's time to give ordinary people a tax break.
So Sean Hannity on Whispering Wednesday, can you explain why he's talking like that?
Yes, I actually can, but some people get angry that I do it. You know, I have been saying for quite a while, we've been showing tape on Hannity. Joe Biden in 2012, Joe Biden in 2016, Joe Biden today. How do I say this nicely? I call him very affectionately President Sippy Cup. Because if you look at Joe's schedule, he has less than 1 item usually a day on his agenda. They hide him as often as possible. Did you ever imagine we'd have a president of the United States that's constantly saying, I can't answer questions because they're going to get mad at me in the back. They're going to yell at me. Yeah. He goes to bed at like 7 o'clock at night. He gets his warm milky, his sippy cup, maybe a night-night story. And part of it is funny, but now, to me, it's getting a little scary because it's emboldening people that really don't like us, like, Vladimir Putin, President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un, Iranian mullahs, radical Islamic terrorists. I am very, very concerned. He looks weak, frail. He's a cognitive mess. And, Steve, I don't know what that little whisper thing is all about. But it's very odd, bizarre, and strange to me. Right. Well, that's the only way I can explain it.
Someone a secret.
Every time he does it, he makes our highlight reel. So, all right.
And
by the way, you know
Night
what the
Live,
most popular item? Everyone wants me to give them. I had sippy cups made up with the presidential seal on it. Everybody wants them.
It's going to be a big hit. It's going to be a big hit. I
think I'll bring one to President Trump down at the border tonight.
Right. It'll be as big a hit as the Gutfeld T-shirt, which is capturing America's imagination.
Well, President Trump's policies worked. The policies now are not working. By the way, and look how hard it is on Governor Abbott. Legally, he's not allowed to enforce federal immigration law. So now he's got to spend $250 million as a start to continue building the wall that Donald Trump was building.
So let me just tell you how powerful you are. You're the first guest we've had in the history of this show that no one in our ear is saying rap.
Because we
I
just
don't
went
really
past
care
the
what the
time.
word rap means. I don't rap on my own show. Why should I rap on your show?
They're not even telling us to rap you.
All right, Sean.
Hannity, you got to break. It's a
Can
hard
you
break.
stay
I'm
for
like,
another
yeah,
hour,
relax.
Sean?
Calm down. Calm down. What's that?
Can you stay for another hour?
I'm sure I could. I'll be a little late for the interview, but
We'll be
fine with
watching
me.
you tonight.
All right.
All right,
Indeed.
guys. Thank
All
you.
right, Town
Thanks
Hall,
for
Sean
having me.
Hannity,
Love your
Town
show.
Hall.
Watch every morning.
Thanks, Sean.
All right.